Hi everybody, I'm TychoCelchuuu, and Natural Selection 2 has changed a lot since I made my tutorial videos. So this video is going to be really short and it's going to catch you up to where the game is right now as of build 250, you can see in the upper left, which was a really big patch. So I'm going to explain everything that's changed since my videos. If you've watched my videos already, you should be sort of good to go except for this one, and if you're a noob, here we go, where you'll know what you're doing. So the three big changes are to movement, to sort of a bunch of general stuff, and to tactics. So we'll go through those in order. So first, for movement for the skulk. Wall jumping is still a thing, and it works basically how I said it worked. The main differences are, number one, if you hold down spacebar while you're in the air, you'll jump immediately when you hit the ground. So basically you could just spam the spacebar key and you'll jump all the time. And so this is helpful because, remember, as you're jumping off walls, whenever you hit the ground, you want to immediately jump so you don't lose the speed you've gotten from jumping off the walls, because that'll bleed away the longer you're on the ground. So as you're hopping off walls, if you just hold down the jump key, whenever you do accidentally or even purposefully hit the ground, you'll be able to jump immediately again. So it's much easier for newer players to get the wall jumping going and keep it going. And if you're not good enough to wall jump, or maybe there's no walls around and you leap, you can again keep that speed a bit by holding down the spacebar anytime before you hit the ground. So that's an easier way to keep that speed from leap for a little while. And so that's helpful for new players. So that's the difference for skulks. Also, they added for all the alien classes basically bunny hopping. It's not bunny hopping quite as drastic as it was in, like, I don't know, Quake or Half-Life or something, and I'm not really doing it right now. But if you know how to bunny hop, then you can now bunny hop and get some speed in this game. So there's that. But mostly you combine that with wall jumping to get your speed. And now for the fade changes, because the fade's movement also changed. So the fade no longer has double jump, which I think is good because I forgot to mention that in my tutorial video, except for an annotation. So you cannot double jump as a fade anymore. The other big change, again, you can bunny hop though. The other big change is that shadow step. I previously said you would use this to build up momentum, and then halfway through blink, and then you can conserve the momentum from shadow step. You can't do that anymore. So momentum from shadow step is no longer conserved in a blink. So if I'm shadow stepping and then I blink and I come out of blink, I'm not going to be moving faster because I was shadow stepping. So don't bother using shadow step to set up a blink or anything. Only use shadow step when you want to get around. Shadow step being bound to the shift key by default. So fade movement is changed by that. So now let's go through sort of the miscellaneous changes to, like, the alien units and tech trees and stuff and strategies, since we talked about them. So two of the big changes were not added in build 250. They were added earlier in the Gorgeous update. So let's make ourselves a gorge. Yep. They are gorge tunnels and babblers. So gorge tunnels are basically alien phase gates. The gorge can build them. You see it's number 4. You can build a tunnel entrance somewhere. And you walk up to them, and you walk inside, and you go through this cool little alien environment, and then you come out the other end. So like I said, it's basically a phase gate. You drop them wherever you want. They even spread a bit of infestation for you. So any alien can walk up to these and use them. And any marine can actually use them too, so you can get in fights inside these things and stuff like that. So gorge tunnels, you can open up your mini-map anytime you see this white line sort of leading from data core to subaccess and back. That indicates that there's a gorge tunnel built, and you can take it as somebody. So the other thing the gorge got to do is babblers. So you can build babbler eggs, and those will, where is it? It's down there and somewhere. And it hatches little babblers, and then once you have these little babblers, you can use babbler bait. It's your number 4 button, and you fire babbler bait, and the babblers go chase it. And so you can use babbler bait on a friendly player. I don't have any friendly players around to use it, but then the babblers will stick to the player, and they'll provide them extra armor. You can bounce it off the wall and stick it to yourself. So now I've got a bunch of babblers riding on me. Or you can fire it at enemies, and then the babblers will go attack the enemies. They're pretty adorable, so I have to say, go ahead and use the babblers all the time. Think of them as sort of little antlions that will also stick to you if you want, from Half-Life 2. So that's how gorges changed. Big change for the aliens is biomass. Now, as your team upgrades things, and also they can research just biomass at the hive, as they upgrade things, you'll get more biomass. You can see up here in the upper left, and as you get biomass, your health is going to increase. So we see in the bottom left, my health is 164 right now. The more biomass the aliens have, the more healthy all the life forms are going to be. So this just gives aliens more of a punch in the late game and gives them stuff to work towards, gives you a reason to research like Xenocide or something, when you didn't have that before. Now personal upgrades, these things down here, they cost resources. If you're a Skulk, they're free. If you're a Gorge, each of these costs 2, so like this, and this would be 6. If you're a Lurk, they cost 3. If you're a Fade, they cost 5. If you're an Onos, they cost 8. So the higher life form you are, the more it's going to cost to get these. It's still going to be a good deal, but you got to keep an eye on your personal resources. In exchange for this, they lowered the cost of the alien life form, so now it's only 5 to evolve to a Gorge, 25 for a Lurk, 40 for a Fade, and 60 for an Onos. So keep an eye on your personal resources. It's going to be easier to evolve, but you want to also factor in the costs of the upgrades. The upgrades now scale. So if you see over here on the left, you see these 2 shells are lit up, and there's a third that's black. There's 1 veil lit up, and there's 2 that are black. And then I don't have any crags, or no, I don't have any shifts, or whatever the fuck they're called. Spurs. I don't have any spurs. But these are how powerful your upgrades are. So if I were to research Carapace, I apparently say that. If I were to research regeneration, right now it would be a level 2 regeneration, and you want level 3, right? Level 3 is the best, and your commander can get more of it by building more of the relevant building. So we have 2 shells right now, which means I'm going to have level 2 defensive upgrades, and so this basically works like the original natural selection. If you played it, you want more of these upgrade structures to have more powerful upgrades. 3 is the max, 1 is the minimum. So there's a change for you. Celerity and regeneration, I think I forgot to mention this in my videos, but they used to not work in combat, so if someone was shooting at you or you were fighting somebody, celerity and regeneration would stop working until you had been out of combat for a few seconds. Now they work. So all of your upgrades will work in combat perfectly fine. There's a new upgrade called Aura. If you evolve it, which we shall do right now, it'll let you see nearby enemies and their health. And the way this works is that when you get fairly close to an enemy, so notice how close I have to be to these Marines. When you get fairly close to an enemy, they get this little like wavy sign that pops up on them. The color of the sign corresponds to their health. So as I attack this guy, it's going to get redder and redder until he dies. So this lets you know how much health nearby Marines have and also where they are, right? I can see them through the wall. So it's pretty sweet, but you have to be pretty close. Oh look, my babblers are helping. That's adorable. You're like, well, okay, if that's a thing, then what happened to silence and camouflage? Like, there can't be 2 of them over here. Surprise, they're combined. Silence and camouflage are now phantom, so you can be invisible and quiet at the same time. You will not be 100% invisible anymore. Phantom is not 100% invisibility. The cloaking is less than total. So those are changed. As the Lurk, your Spores and Umbra have been swapped around, so now the commander will research Umbra as your number 2 weapon, and Spores as your number 3 weapon. Recall that Umbra is the thing that protects teammates who are inside it, and Spores choke the Marines. So you are now more of a team support player with your Umbra. Make sure to use this to protect teammates. They changed it so that bite damage no longer works in gradations. So it used to be, whoops, well I didn't mean to do that. Let's, new Marine. It used to be for Skulks and Lurks, if you got them dead on, you'd do full damage, and if you got them from the side, you'd do less damage. Now there's no longer side damage. So for a Skulk and a Lurk, you have to have direct attack to do any damage. And so, especially for the Skulk, for newer players, this is the tough one, because often your instinct is just to run around holding down the attack button. So you're going to be like, oh man, it's a Marine, I'm going to eat him, no, die. No, okay, time your attacks, be very careful. Do not bite until you have a bite ready to go. So if you're running around, it's a crazy melee skirmish, it's like, oh, here's a Marine, boink, there we go, I got to kill him, there we go. Bite. So don't just hold down the attack button, wait until you have a bite ready to go and bite. That's more important than ever. The guy was trying to protect his butt, did not work. So those are big changes to the aliens, and that's pretty much it. The Marines, the weapons were sort of rebalanced, the exosuit got faster and more agile, but you don't have to worry about balance, right? Because if you're a new player, you're not really sure what's good and what's not. So you'll learn that as you play. From now on, I'm going to be talking about the changes to tactics and to the alien commander. So you can tune out now if you're not planning on commanding for a while, but if you're new to the game and you're like, hey, I'd like to get into commanding too, there's a lot of big changes to the alien commander. So first, your buildings will basically no longer grow on their own. So let's say I want a shell, my drifters are going to have to build it, and in fact the nearest drifter is going to take care of that for me, and a gorge can also build it with healing spray, but you need to be microing your drifters to let them build whatever it is you want. So you need to do that. Your drifters also have a bunch of crazy new abilities, right? In addition to Enzyme Cloud, which they always had before, they increase the attack speed of aliens within the Enzyme Cloud. They also have Storm. So you use this in the area and the friendly aliens will move faster in this area. You have mucus membrane, which will heal the armor of aliens around there. And you have hallucination cloud, which you use it and all aliens caught in this will get hallucinations created that you can control the hallucinations of those. So that's pretty sweet. All of your crags and your shifts and your, what's the third thing called, shades, can now move, just like the whips can move. So if you click the move button, it's very, very slow, but you know, you can reposition some stuff. So that's great. I mentioned biomass before. You can research extra biomass at the hive. That's this button actually. And then the hive can also now hatch eggs nearby it. So if you're running low on eggs, you can use the hatch eggs ability on the hive. And you have the hive abilities Healing Wave and Cloud of Ink and Rupture, I guess on this is still. And so these are abilities that the hive has that you can use on people. And you typically, the research is now, so okay, I don't have stomp research on the hive, I have stomp research on the crag. So the research is basically moved out into the buildings that you need to build to get this stuff. So in addition to getting biomass, obviously you get the abilities. So let's get Umbra, for instance, on our buildings. And that is the big changes for alien commanders. For marine commanders, you can now build on infestation, although your buildings will take damage over time. So if you want to get like a ninja phase gate or something deep in enemy territory, you can do that, although of course you have to be careful. And tactics, in terms of changed tactics, it's tough to know what's going on because the patch is new. Most of the stuff I said in my commander videos are still fairly correct, but you know, you can figure out what works and what doesn't for yourself. So hopefully this will bring you up to speed. You now know everything you need to know to play a game of Natural Selection 2, even though the game has been patched like 800 times since I made the original videos. I hope you enjoyed these videos. If you did not, then you can track me down in the game and kill me. Thank you. Bye. Just kidding. I remembered two more things. Number one, the whip will no longer bat back marine grenades. So grenade launcher, you launch it towards the whip, it's not going to hit it back at you. But that's probably temporary. They're trying to fix that. It sort of turned it off because it wasn't working, but hopefully that back into the game. Number two, the flamethrower now disables any alien building. So it used to be you set a whip on fire, it would stop hitting things back. That no longer works, obviously, but if you set any alien building on fire, that building can no longer do stuff. So set the crag on fire, it's not going to heal nearby people, for instance. So run in with a flamethrower, set some stuff on fire, that's pretty sweet. Okay, bye.